You can customize your Word environment, and what I mean by that is that you can make it more efficient working in your document if you want to control things like, for example, the status bar, as we went over in the previous training video. It's called that because you can get the stats of the document by viewing the options down below that have been added to it, like the number of pages you have within the document and what page you're currently working on, the number of words. In fact, you can actually hover over it and it lets you know what you're looking at. In addition to that, you can click on some of them to get more details. So not just the words, but the number of pages, also the characters with spaces, without spaces, number of paragraphs and lines. Ooh, that's pretty fancy. So remember that. Let's close out of that. If you want to customize the status bar, then just go ahead and give it a right click anywhere along the blue bar here. And then you can see all those that are checked in that shortcut menu are those that are currently displayed on the status bar. You can either uncheck them to remove them, or if you want to add something else to it like caps lock, go ahead and check that, click off. And then I want you to look in this area right here, because when I hit the caps lock key on the keyboard, hey, it says it's on. If I hit it again, it goes away. Hit it again, it goes on. But if I right click on it and I uncheck it and click off, it's still on, but I remove that option or that feature from the status bar, letting you know that it's still on. Another customization for your Word environment is the Office theme. In other words, you can change the colors. Well, you can't really change the colors. I wouldn't call them colors. I would call them maybe more like shades of gray. In other words, you're looking at a white document kind of against a white background here, against a white ribbon, against a white title bar. I mean, you really can't tell where one begins and the other ends because unless you look at that border here. But if you want something that's more contrasting, like a darker shade of gray, like you got your white document, then a darker shade of gray outside of the document and then on the ribbon, well, to go ahead and customize that, come up here and click on the File tab, go down to Options, and then the General is selected by default, so just come down here under Personalize your copy of Microsoft Office, and we're looking at the Office theme. Now the default's white. If you want to go ahead and change that and see what other options you get, ooh, we got two of them, light gray and dark gray. That's so fancy. In earlier versions of Word, you were able to choose a color like blue, but, oh well, I guess we're just stuck in the gray zone here. So let's do something really dark. Select that. Now before I go ahead and click OK and apply it, notice how it says Office theme and not Word theme. That means that this color here, or this dark gray, is going to apply to every single Office program, like Excel, Access, PowerPoint, Outlook. So when I select dark gray, click Okie dokie. Now you can see a strong contrast between your document and the background, and between the ribbon and the title bar. Not only does it apply to the Word document, or that one program as a part of the Office suite, but if I open up Excel, let me come down here on the taskbar and click on the Excel shortcut icon here. It applies to Excel, Access, Outlook, all the Office programs. And by the same token, if I'm in Excel and I want to change it here, just follow the same steps. File, to Options, General selected by default, come down to Personalize your copy of Office, change it from dark gray back to white, click Okie dokie. Updates not only Excel, but let's close out all of the Office programs, including Word. Now let's go back there to File, down to Options, and General selected by default. When it comes to personalizing your copy of Office, you get the opportunity to put in your username and initials. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you look at it right now and you haven't changed it, if it's somebody else's name or maybe the name of the computer, here's some of the reasons why you might want to personalize it. Because whenever you create a new document, that's going to be the author's name. And if you want it to be you, well, then go ahead and type in your name, your username and initials. Also, it's tied to comments. When you insert comments throughout the document, it'll have your initials and your full name. That way, when you share your document with others, they can identify you and go, oh, this is Kurt Kershaw on this comment, and then down below that, in a different comment is so-and-so, and so on and so forth. In any case, go ahead and type in your username, add your initials, and click Okie dokie. Now, do you recall in the previous training video when you open up the Word program, you get the Start screen, as it says right here? By default, this is checked. Show the Start screen when this application starts. Well, if I click Cancel and close out, there's the Start screen. If I don't want to see the Start screen but start right in a blank document, let's go ahead and change that. Let's just click on Blank Document. And then to change it, click on File, Options, General selected by default, uncheck Show Start Screen when this application starts. So when I click Okie dokie, close out, and I open up Word again, hey, I don't get that startup screen. I go right to a blank document. Now in this next customization, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but on the Quick Access toolbar, I've got my open folder. So when I want to open up another document, I can just click on it. But when I click on it, it goes backstage and it says, okay, you want to open up something? Is it a recent document? Do you want to look from your OneDrive, computer, or add a place? If I select computer, that's another click, and then come down here and I can check recent folders. If there's a folder that I go to a lot and want to be able to access a document within one of those folders, or I can just click on Browse, and then finally it opens up the open window that I can browse through my computer, like go to the desktop to my exercises folder, double click to find a document, then select open. Let me click cancel. If you don't like doing it this way because let's say you don't go to recent folders a lot, or you don't want to have some extra clicks to browse to be able to find the document, the shortcut, let me click back, instead of clicking on the open folder and having to go backstage by default, you can hide the backstage option by coming up here and clicking on File, going down to Options, and then going to the Save category here, or tab. And you see the box right there, Don't Show Backstage when opening or saving files. Check that, click Okie dokie. That way when I go ahead and click on Open, it goes to the open window and it doesn't take me backstage where I have to click and go through all those, well, as many clicks as necessary to get to the document that I'm looking for. Unless, of course, it actually, when you go backstage, it's right there as one of your recent documents. But for me, it's not always going to be a recent document, and I just find it easier to be able to get that browsing option available and not even go backstage. So that's one option that you can set to be able to avoid going backstage when you're opening or saving a document. And speaking of saving a document, you can set the save default location by coming up here, clicking on the file, going down to options again. We're going to go back to the save category. And right now the default location for saving a file, well, that's the documents folder. So when you save it and it goes to the documents folder and you're like, no, I save most of my documents on my desktop. Well, just go ahead and click Browse. In the Browse window, in the navigation pane, select Desktop. And if you have a folder that you're always going to save documents to by default, then go ahead and open up the folder, but I'm just going to select Desktop and click Okie dokie. And there it is, and click OK. So when I come up here and I want to save my document for the first time, which we'll learn how to do in a later training video, but when you click Save, it opens up the Save As, and where does it go? To the Documents folder? No. You can see up here in the address, it's going right to the desktop. Cool. One last thing is the autosave. Let's click on File, Options, back to the Save category. And if you're kind of like me, you're a little bit nervous about remembering to save your work and you want to have it saved for you every so many minutes, the default is 10 minutes. You can go ahead and say, well, save it every minute for me. I usually don't use this. I just become a save freak throughout the document. Wherever I type in something that I don't want to retype, I click the Save button in case if I lose it, but it's there. And we'll cover that a little bit later on, that how you can go ahead once you, well, if your document accidentally closes out or the power shuts off and you have it set to save every so minutes and it saved it for you before it crashed, I'll show you how you can go ahead and recover that. But right now it's enough to know that it's there, so you can go ahead and set it to however many minutes you'd like.